And I'm hearing people go, but what about? And I want to say a little over a year ago, cancer would have been an exception. Cancer diagnosis would have been a good reason to get all worked up, to be all bothered. And it just made sense. It just looked like, of course, that would be an exception until it happened to me. So in March of 24, I was sitting at lunch with a friend and kind of feeling like I am now. And she's, Ellen, look at you. You look amazing. And she kept on using this word amazing. And I was like, oh, she's really reflecting the feeling that I'm having inside of me. And then I said, how can that be? How can I feel amazing when I had a biopsy yesterday and I'm waiting for the doctor to call me and tell me the results that the doctor was very convinced it was cancer. How can how can amazing be an option? I was amazed. I was in awe of my own experience in that moment, in awe, in tears that amazing was available.
I'm excited to welcome my friend Ellen Friedman. Ellen and I know each other through the Three Principles community and Facebook. Months ago, we got to meet in person. At the Viva event, we were in Spain. One of the things I was really fascinated in hearing Ellen share about had to do with this understanding and the physical body, diseases, physical issues. It's such a stumbling block. This spiritual understanding is one thing, but physical is a whole other thing, especially when it comes to illness. I love that we have this opportunity, Ellen. Would really love for you to introduce yourself, what you do, and more of your background.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic, and thank you for the invitation. Yeah, my name is Ellen Friedman. I'm currently living in Western Colorado, where I've been for the past almost 5 years now. And before that, I was in Phoenix for 38 years. And I was minding my own business as a physical therapist, loved what I did, never thought I would stop working as a PT. And then people started asking me to coach. And I said, oh, I don't do that. I move with people, I don't sit with people. And I just began coaching about in 2011. It was when I began coaching. And actually, my first client was the spouse of a patient with multiple medical issues. The journey from coaching, I was blessed to be introduced to the principles first in 2013, and then it was 2016 when I really just looked in that direction only for many years. And I was very hyper focused on that. And at the same time, experiencing three different autoimmune conditions. And they were just such an exception to the understanding. Like the understanding made sense with every other area of my life, but not with my physical health and not with, I could measure it, I had evidence of it. And I clearly had a misunderstanding of what the role of the principles was because I don't see it that way now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe because there may be a few people who join and go, what are the principles or what are that? How might you say that? Because I agree with you. It's, oh, but this is an exception. Seems like an exception to.
I don't really describe the principles anymore because when I do, it keeps me and the people I'm talking to in our heads about it.
Right.
So I'd like to just say the principles is just a description of how everyone experiences life.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, when I think about that, then how I was experiencing my illnesses was from a lack of understanding of these of that I was the creator of my experience, not the creator of my dis-ease.
Wow. Yeah. If I made the simple part about the principles, which you just said in there, is that basically really say that creator of my experience, which suggests it happens first within me and seems to be experienced outside of me. And this is where the challenge is yeah, but this issue happened outside of me. And I was totally fine until this issue. And now I'm bothered by this physical, real issue. And it's not created inside, it is out there. And now I'm stuck. And this is why physical seems so challenging compared to when we're talking about, well, you were stressed. Oh, it's okay. Stressed, you can understand. Okay, I was, yeah, you're right. I guess I'm in my mind, I'm stressed out. And then it looks like I have a lot of work, but I get it. It was probably me. The stress started.
In addition to that, Dominic, there are many, many self-improvement and spiritual practices or guidance that tells us that a, when a certain body part is affected, you can look it up and find what happened in your life before that. So there's a lot of that that has been going around, and I think that contributes to there's something that happened in my past that led me to have whether it's a knee pain or a cancer diagnosis or an autoimmune condition. And I used to buy into that too. I have a book that's a couple hundred pages that you could look up, like every body system, every body part, right side, left side, and it tells you the possible like sources from your life. And it doesn't make sense anymore. It just doesn't make sense.
Wow. See, now that's big and that's very hopeful. When you got a couple of hundred pages that tell you that the reason this is here, what are you going to do about that? Because if that's what it is, and it's because of this and because of this, and because then you did that, and then what you were eating and what are you supposed to do about that? There's no hope.
And if it was true, then what you do is you work it out from the past, which doesn't make sense to either one of us anymore, unless sometimes there's an internal guidance that's curious to explore something. That's not where I go. But if I think about, take that past, like then everyone who had that similar past experience would have that similar current health challenge. That's where it became untrue for me.
And isn't that interesting? The way you just said it makes it seem so obvious. But isn't that interesting how many of us are like, no, but it is true. If your diet is like this or like that, it is like this. And then you say, yeah, but what about this group of people that were eating like that, but they never had that condition? They're an exception. But generally,
yeah.
And it's funny how we'll just dismiss it when it's no, you want to be curious because that might just be pointing to a fundamental flaw to the entire understanding here of what might be going on.
And sometimes those things are helpful, but they don't seem to be the sustainable source of feeling better.
Yeah. Now, this stuff for you is not theoretical. Maybe you want to speak a bit about, because this is not a theoretical thing for you where you're just exploring it and thinking about it like that.
Yeah. A couple things come to mind right now. One is that once I understood that my relationship with those autoimmune labels could shift, like the labels could still be there, but my relationship, instead of seeing them as a problem or something that needed to be fixed or something that needed to be healed, seeing them as just an indicator of where I am, not who I am. So how that played out was, in the past, before the understanding, I would have a symptom and I would have a label that matched that symptom and I would hook it together. And that would emphasize how real it was for me. And it made sense. This condition has these symptoms, and there it is. Now, because of the understanding I see the symptom or the experience I'm having as just an indicator of what I now seems like stress on the system. And instead of trying to find the source of stress, which is what I did for a while, it's just like there's stress on the system. And in the moment, I'll be guided to what will support what I call down regulating the nervous system. And it's been a game changer because
Mm.
the identity with the labels might still be there. I don't know, but I don't care. They've become my personal, intimate barometer of my state of mind.
So you mentioned nervous system, and that's a wise, powerful physical way of sensing where we're at. Am I at ease versus am I at in dis-ease? Not at ease, I'm in dis-ease. The nervous system seems to be a way of
Mhm.
literally changing it from just a thinking idea into a physical sensation. How do you see that?
Yeah. I see that most of us spend most of the time in parasympathetic mode, which is fight or flight, and we get used to it. It becomes our it's like almost like a comfort. I remember this rushed feeling, like I always had to do one more thing so I could have the rushing energy to get me somewhere. When all that did was ramp up my nervous system and put tension on the whole system. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't helpful, but it was a really strong habit. I don't think most of us spend time in just a relaxed place. And then when we don't realize how much more, like I'm so much more relaxed than I used to be, but I now know that state of relaxation, that state of parasympathetic nervous system down regulation is infinite and endless, and there's always more. And even if I'm experiencing a symptom, instead of going to see what caused the symptom so I can stop that or do something about about the cause, I just see it as, okay, slow down, calm down, breathe, whatever it is, whatever it is. What comes to mind that
Yeah.
I need right now.
Yeah. So that's pointing at an understanding that whatever the symptom, it its source or its expression of something, and that what it expresses, maybe that's something to point to. What are you now seeing is because as you just said, is I used to go look for what just caused this. Was it something I ate or was it something that like used to go looking for that? And today, what do you now understand that's different?
It's like a silent message that has a silent response. It's some version of slowing down or calming down. I know it would be nice if I had some specifics, but I don't want the specifics to turn into like a prescription of what to do because it's not. And it's so easy when it's so easy to want the answer. And also to see the body's doing exactly what it needs in this moment to come to balance, to come to homeostasis. Like it's always seeking homeostasis. So even if my heart rate goes up or my blood pressure goes down when it should go up or goes up when it should go down, like the body's wisdom has it. So a specific example of that is many years ago, I was visiting my daughter who lives in a high elevation, and I was staying alone in an Airbnb, and I woke up a couple hours after I went to sleep, and my heart rate was just like very high. And I was like, I'm not having any panic feelings. I don't not aware of a upsetting or panicky dream, but it was almost like a panic feeling. And I felt like I was at this fork in this road, and I could follow the panic feeling and try and figure it out. Do I need to go to the emergency room? Do I need to call 911? Like I
Mm.
could go, that was available. And so was, oh, what if my body's doing exactly what it needs? Let's see. And I'll know if I need to then take action. And so in that choice point, all the added on panic, stress eliminated, and then the body self-regulated. And I didn't go to the emergency room, but I would have been open to it if to
Yeah.
make that decision from a calm place.
Yeah. Yeah. Very clear in your example. It's, and that's the part that it is the understanding of this intelligence of the body. It's beyond our understanding because we can
I agree.
understand like way beyond, right? Because we can understand a car, like we know what the parts are and how that all works and how it moves. But yeah, with the body, that understanding of all these systems and how they're regulated with each other and in balance. So there's something in the story where that was what you knew. Heart rate's up. And I really can see under from a not knowing or not remembering, it just becomes my heart rate's up. Something's wrong. I've got to do something about this, which now really is in disconnection.
Exactly.
Because now I've moved into my own thinking, which is an intelligence that we just said has no ability to fully understand the complexity of the body. But I'm like, I got to do something about this. And what should I do? Emergency, maybe I need to drink water. I'm like trying to think about this. What if I remembered? I think somebody said something about what you do in these situations. I just can't remember what it is. And so, but you've departed.
And all of that does is fuel and add on to the symptoms.
Yeah.
It's if there was a fire in my office right now, I wouldn't sit and analyze when the time is to leave. And if I'm in a movie theater and there's a fire on the screen, it doesn't occur to me to analyze, do I need to leave the theater?
Great metaphor. It's a great metaphor in that it shows how simple what we're talking about is. Like simple. Like it's just a realization that you would move by wisdom, by what's intelligent or common sense. Sydney Banks often said wisdom. Sometimes he called it common sense. He'd refer both ways. But that metaphor example is really good because you know you would do that. Like you could trust, of course you would do that. In other words, of course that would happen. The only way it couldn't happen, the only way it would not happen is if I got involved. Fire, how could there be a fire here? Who started that fire? How would something like that even happen in a movie theater? Someone needs to get to the bottom of this because that's just not acceptable.
But that's
So
what we do, right? But that's what we do with the symptoms of our body. And I want to go back and say those symptoms, our symptoms are real. Whatever they are real, and our relationship to this understanding and to ourselves has us have a stronger reaction, stronger experience with them, or a less bothered experience.
yeah,
And I'm hearing people go, but what about? And I want to say a little over a year ago, cancer would have been an exception. Like cancer would have been a good cancer diagnosis would have been a good reason to get all worked up, to be all bothered. And it just made sense. It just looked like, of course, that would be an exception until it happened to me. So in March of 24, I was sitting at lunch with a friend and kind of feeling like I am now. And she's, Ellen, look at you. You look amazing. And she kept on using this word, amazing. And I was like, oh, she's really reflecting the feeling that I'm having inside of me. And then I said, how can that be? How can I feel amazing when I had a biopsy yesterday and I'm waiting for the doctor to call me and tell me the results that the doctor was very convinced it was cancer. How can amazing be an option? I was amazed. I was in awe of my own experience in that moment, in awe, in tears that amazing was available.
wow.
And then a couple hours later, the doctor called and said, blah, 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 cancer. And you need to blah, blah, blah. And I didn't hear the words because what I heard was, and I don't know how to hear this, Dominic, but I heard healed as if it was past, present, and future tense. it was wild. And I had worked in an integrative cancer clinic in Arizona, two different clinics in Arizona, and worked with about 300 people. Up until most of them were up until before I came across this understanding, some were after, several were after. And so I had a lot of sitting in front of people, and I saw the range of responses that people had to their diagnoses. But the one thing that seemed to really make a difference was people being in their life. And Sid talks a lot about be in your life, right? So that was my focus, was to be in my life, not to be in my symptoms. And I didn't have any symptoms. I never had any symptoms, but not to be in my label or my disease or the disease. And so I called up the one of the doctors that I worked for and said, okay, I'm in this situation. What are my options right now? And he gave me some options, and he sent me for some blood work that's done in Europe, sent a tube of blood to Europe. And the tube of blood came back and told me what my body needed now for healing. It was extraordinary to be able to see that and to see multiple things. There were so many things on there that I didn't do all of them. So then like my inner guidance was like, yes to this and no to this and yes and no. And and then I found a doctor that I wanted to work with here and in Colorado, but it was also telemedicine. And I called up and they said, "Oh, we're not going to be able to get you until next month." And I said, "That's fine. I know you're going to want something sooner." If it was Dominic, it was wild. It was like, if I'm supposed to be there next month, I'll be there next month. Like, matter. The waiting for what to do meant nothing. I often say if my best friend told me the story, I wouldn't have believed it. But it was true. Like, I I didn't know that I had that much trust in
Yeah.
God, in
Yeah.
divine
Yeah.
love.
That's what I'm hearing.
I didn't know that. And I got curious.
Huh.
I got curious about that. And I couldn't find any evidence not to.
That really came through. Like to say a month. Okay, a month. Like what?
Yeah.
What? You need now. Now you have to see, right? Which is such a distinction there of who's yelling like that? That's my personal little mind
The
freaking out.
things she knows.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the guidance was like continuous and now I have no evidence of disease is the language, which I never did other than this. Yes, I had disease. I had biopsy that revealed cancer cells. I had a lumpectomy that took a mass out of my breast, but I never had it. I never had people be like, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, feeling the same greatness that I felt before. And I got curious, what contributed to my experience? Because I
Mhm.
didn't like, yes, I created it, but I didn't, there was no, maybe you can help me with the language. There was no like conscious, efforted creation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's powerful about this understanding is that it's understanding. It's created because of understanding. It is no effort. There's almost not another option. It's
Yeah.
what else did you want me to do? Like when you understand it in that, like the intelligence of the body, it's not out to get you, then there's something that makes sense. But from a different understanding, I don't know what happened and I've been attacked. So we could say, so in both cases, I'm creating that whole experience. How? It's just flowing from the understanding point.
Yeah. And in my curiosity, it was like, how, what did I know that I wasn't aware of? And two things came forward. One is I've used the words I'm a spiritual being, using a human experience to remember who I truly
Yeah.
am. I must have known that in the depths of my being, because knowing that created such a foundation of safety and security. Like, That might be it happening to my body, but nothing can happen to me.
To you. Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
To the essence of me, to the truth of me.
As I hear that, I can also, from that, see how the time is not a factor. There's no rush, because in that place, the body's always reflecting. So there's no rush because the body will always reflect, express, reflect my energy, spiritual, and the state of ease I'm in. It will always reflect it. And it will always reflect it now. When else could it reflect it? Can't reflect it yesterday. It has to reflect it now. So in that state, it's, as I'm listening to the story, it's what's the rush or the has to be fixed now, because it will reflect the spiritual state that I'm in,
Knowing who I am
knowing who I am.
and knowing the capacity of the body's
Mm.
healing, and knowing that source, God, is the source of healing.
Of healing. Yeah.
The other piece to it was knowing where my experience was coming from, and also knowing the role of stress and tension in every illness.
Mm.
So I didn't realize it as I was in it, but since I've come to see, like, I almost developed a super low tolerance for stress or tension or pressure. Now, in the past, I thought that it was good to have a high tolerance. That means I could handle all the crap in the world and in my life. Like, I thought it was a badge of honor to have a high tolerance for stress.
Yeah.
And I cherish having such a low tolerance that I wake up to it and I have the free will to put my attention on something else. So
Wow.
I'm not feeding, like, it made zero sense to feed my immune system anything that would lower it, that would then feed cancer cells.
Wow. Wow. Beautifully said. Very clear. The way you said it too, what I heard as you were saying it,
Yeah.
when you said low tolerance for stress. And then what I was hearing is very high sensitivity to well-being.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Low tolerance to stress, high
High sensitivity
to
to well-being.
wellness.
It's like the discernment of what this limitless flow of well-being and thriving is, the sensitivity to what that is like. And at a high sensitivity of that, the moment you move off of it, you feel it right away. And to your point, we are so sold that, but if you want to make anything of yourself, you need to be able to armor up a little bit. Got to handle some discomfort, and you got to handle some stress, right? So it helps you grow. Keep moving in the direction. It's now, from this understanding, it's weird that we keep pointing people in a direction of more harm. That's just weird. Oh, come on, Ellen. You got to toughen up. That's There's more you can take. Go further into the harm. That's how you'll be superhuman. Further into that harm and discomfort. The people who make something of themselves can be further into that and still remain standing. It's crazy, right? But this is how we're pointing a lot of the world, right?
And I want to also make sure that I share, of course, there were moments when I was looking to make an appointment with someone, for example, and I made a phone call to start that appointment process. And like for the next 2 or 3 hours, I was a reactive bitch. In all of my interactions, I'm like, where did she come? What is going on? I couldn't figure out. not, it was just like I was so reactive. And then it occurred to me, oh, I made an appointment that I have zero. I made an appointment to please a couple people in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I
Isn't
canceled it.
that interesting?
I canceled the appointment. But I also, of course, there were moments, but they were moments that were guiding lights of where I was hanging out. They were guiding lights of where I was hanging out, but not something that I should follow and make a decision from. Like that's the other thing. Whenever I made it just never occurred to me to make a decision under urgency, under pressure, from anything other than a calm mind. And when
Now
I
that's huge.
and when I did, I got immediate feedback that I was doing that, and I just backed off. And no, it's huge.
Yeah, that's really huge because that would be counterintuitive when we hear it's like this is urgent. But that's the
There are cells growing in your body and
yeah,
multiplying.
this is
Yeah,
urgent. There's a time to relax and sit, but this isn't one of those times.
didn't make sense.
And
It used to make sense. I lived in urgency for many years, so I know what the feeling was, but it just doesn't make sense anymore. It's an indicator to pause.
yeah, wow, it's so counterintuitive. You got to say for many people, but also for what you're told, right? There's a time for action, and that's the time. You just got to act. And there's something about, what I think I'm seeing as we're talking is that it makes it sound like the quiet state would have zero action in it. And that's the flawed thinking. That's the flawed thinking. Unless I go hyper, then nothing's going to happen. You're telling me to go to quiet state. And the flawed thinking is that in the quiet state, there'd be no action. That's
I also want to add, though, that when I initially heard that, then I would try and do quiet.
that, and that's the problem. Yeah, that's actually the problem right there.
And not do quiet.
It's a misunderstanding of the quiet state because oh, I understand what you're saying, quiet state. So you're asking me to do quiet. I can do quiet.
I like calm. For me, calm
Yeah.
is better than quiet, just for me, because quiet can get really tricky. Because people, anyone that ever spent one moment meditating, the belief was that there was a quiet mind to get to.
Yeah.
And I just love knowing that the quiet mind is already there. And
Yeah.
I'm the one that layers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So quiet, yeah, quiet. And it's because I think people take quiet to the nth degree. Like then there's no thought.
Yeah.
I gotta wait till there's no thought and then listen. No, we're not
Yeah.
talking about that. We're talking about a quiet in the direction of quiet.
Yeah. And I like calm. It's settled.
Yes.
It's so that direction because, and I think this is really important. It's not no action.
No.
What happens is in settled, there's intelligent movement because the movement is arising, flowing from settled. Over here, the movement is in reaction to. That's what's different, is not arising a response from a wisdom, a knowing. It is in reaction to the news, in reaction to what I just saw, what happened. So it's always in, and that's where that movement is not intelligent. This is the difference in them. The feeling is what's different. I also appreciated how this is really important because I appreciated how you really offered hope as I heard this story. Is you don't have to be perfect at this.
You can't be.
You don't need to be perfect. Just do, like you said, Sid said, live your life. So live your life, which you did. And in many places, you found calm, and the calm led to ideas and actions. And then, You don't need to be perfect. And sometimes you'd make an appointment that you didn't even know was different and in reaction to, or trying to please other people, or you should do it. If you're responsible, you should. So you did all that. And then, but again, goes to your sensitivity. You had the sensitivity to notice then the repercussion of that imbalance, leaning in that imbalance, how it started to, as you do, it starts to tip further and further, and you get the sensitivity of, I've gone off.
There's something I'm hearing deeper right now about what you just said. In the calm mind, I'm more sensitive to my well-being. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So after I moved through all the pieces that I was moving through, I became aware that I wasn't being sensitive to the whispers. I was overriding wisdom. I wasn't following wisdom. And I was like, Ellen, we don't need to have a label to have us attuned to it. Like at first I was like, why am I not? What's going on? I was so hearing and attuning and following. Why am I not now? Because it doesn't matter, because it mattered then and it doesn't matter now. And it was such a beautiful learning that it doesn't have to be for just something really important and potentially life-threatening. That sensitivity to well-being is always available.
That resonates with me. It's without limit. That well-being is without limit. It stops at the physical body. That sense of well-being, or sometimes I'll use the word that wants thriving, is not then, okay, we got it, got the body, good, go do your thing. It's an attention and consciousness in every aspect of your life. It wants thriving in this relationship. It wants thriving in the work you do. It wants fulfillment in the way you are expressing yourself and your creative nature. There's no end to it. You can hear it, listen to it, be guided by it in every area. There's not an area, it's, oh, what happened to it? Oh, it must not count in this area. It only works in those
It only
areas.
matters when it's really important.
Yeah. Wow. So, what would you love for if you were looking at this and thinking about what was the real? You've been around it in a long time, but there was something about this experience that left you maybe new gifts that weren't there before. How might you say that or speak of that?
There's just deepening of what I knew, that no one could know my path and I can't know anyone else's path. Like, it's more obvious now. And that I couldn't have even known my path until the next step showed up in front of me. Yeah. Not just what to do, but when to do it. And then back to what I said earlier, I think when you know who you truly are, then there is no dis-ease or label or illness that can impact the essence. It can only have impact on what we make of it, what we make it mean. And again, I think lots just shifted from the ideas. I was already on that trajectory of things shifting from the idea to the experience. But yeah, stress and tension and worry are not required no matter what diagnosis.
Yeah, I'm taking from that. They are the indicators that I've moved off into that that my thinking little intelligence. That's the difference between this deep wisdom, knowing who I really am and what that means, because That's the connection to all knowing.
And we receive immediate feedback where our attention is. And in the awareness of that is our only choice point. Maybe not only, but is
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because the minute, and I think this is the thing about that, is the minute you wake up, then there's choice. Because in a way, if I'm lost in it, then there's no choice. Then this just makes sense. I got to make phone calls. I got to get this done. I got to yell at them to do it sooner, not delay for a month. Don't they realize how urgent this is? And that's the sensitivity you talked about. If I have that sensitivity, that this is not well-being, this is disturbed. I'm in the middle of disturbed. And to think I could disturb even more and get myself to a good place, that's the insanity, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I just disturb a little more, it will reach the place where I will be.
It sounds funny now, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? But it just somehow it makes sense. Like maybe I could, if I just push a little more, it'll take me then to the calm on the other side of it. Yeah. Wow. That's very, that's very
And we do
helpful.
and we do that. And then I want to know when I do that so that I can come back home. Yeah.
See, that's what you said, I think is so important. I want to know when I do that. It's because I care to know that. Like, that's important to me to know that.
It's so valuable.
Yeah, it's important.
Otherwise, we get lost way far from home.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could be that is the simple start to this is I care about that. I care to know that. I care to be sensitive about that. And it's as simple as that's directionally. If you care about it, if you keep looking there, it's not like it's hiding from you. If you care to look, it'll be right there. Yeah, it's beautiful. Anything you'd like to say? Anything more you'd like to say just to close the conversation?
No, just thank you. I love being in this conversation because I love the exploration. I love hearing what's coming through and what's new and fresh for me each time.
Right. Yeah. Now, how about people who have more questions or want to speak to you or connect with you? How do they reach out?
Yeah, so my email is ellen@healinghousecalls.com. My website is also healinghousecalls.com. And I just started a monthly webinar, free monthly healthy hour, a mock on happy hour. So we meet at 5:30 Pacific time and 5:30 in the UK on the same day. And whatever questions or comments or sharings come in the room is what we talk about.
So we'll put a link for your email and your website. So we'll put that when I put it in.
Facebook is so unreliable. So I post on Facebook, but Facebook is unreliable. So I'm gathering an email list for people who want email notification of that because it's a different day every month,
Perfect. So at your website, they can sign up.
They have to email me.
They'll email you and then you'll, do that. Perfect.
And
this is great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was so excited because I love the way that we interact and explore together. It felt like a beautiful mutual exchange.
Yeah, it felt really good. And this was so important and so important to so many. So thanks for your generosity of sharing from a very personal, real experience. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Okay.